Good afternoon, everybody. The International Parking and Mobility Institute presents today's Shop Talk for University and Campuses, COVID-19 and our industry's response. My name is Justin Gernert, and I will be assisting Kim Jackson, CAPP, in moderating today's Shop Talk. As a reminder, today's Shop Talk is being recorded. We will make the recording available online within 48 hours for you to use and share. Before we start, we have a few quick housekeeping rules for today. If you have a webcam and are comfortable doing so, please turn your camera on. IPMI wants everyone to feel engaged and participate, and we want to see your smiling faces. We want this virtual shop talk to be just like a regular shop talk, face-to-face and sharing our ideas. As a reminder, all participant lines are muted. We invite everyone to participate. To do so, we ask everyone to use the raise your hand feature. Online participants, please raise your hand by clicking the raise your hand feature on the participant menu. To access the raise your hand button, please open the participant menu. It will be to the right of the side of your screen, and the raise your hand button will be at the bottom of the participants list. Phone participants can raise their hand by pressing *9. Once recognized, your microphone will be unmuted and allowed to join the conversation. You may also type your questions into the chat. Click the chat icon and then type your question or comment and click send. I will read them to the group. And now I will now turn over the audience over to Kim Jackson.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Shop Talk. Those of you who know me know that this was one of the first things I used to do with IMPC, IPI, now IPMI. It's a great way for us to connect, communicate, share what we're doing, especially right now during COVID-19. So I'd like to just give you a little bit of background on what we're doing at Princeton and then kind of open this up to share with everyone. In New Jersey, we need to shelter in place, and so the university a week ago, or 2 weeks ago actually, had all of our students leave campus, except for seniors that needed to stay to do research projects and some graduate students that needed to stay to finish some certain projects that they were working on. With that, of course, everything went into this kind of crazy mode as to who should be on campus, who shouldn't be on campus, what services do we offer, what services don't we offer, what do we do for the people that need to come to campus because essential services employees need to be there. So even though we had a CAPP that we've had since Hurricane Sandy, this pandemic gave us an opportunity to not only revisit that CAPP, but look at how we had to do things a little bit differently from that particular episode. And so we went down to reduced staff to now having no staff presence on campus. Zoom has become everyone's best friend. I don't know about everybody else, but at the end of the day, my ears are kind of tired, my eyes are kind of tired because I just sit and stare at a screen. Haven't moved around as much as I'd like, so that's kind of changed how we do business. But in essence, the university is technically still open. And so that creates lots of challenges for us because, again, we are the people who make things happen on campus. We help people park, we help people navigate, we move people around on buses. This week, we got notified that our enterprise car share system was going to shut down, that our ZAG bike share system was going to shut down. So modes of transportation that students, faculty have been using are no longer available, which makes it a little more challenging for everyone. So what I'd like to do with the time that we have, because an hour is going to go by very quickly, is not babble so much about what we're doing at Princeton. I will, though, add one antidote, that this is one time I'm glad I do not charge for parking because I am not trying to figure out what to do with refunds and get people money back and or not get them money back. And I know a lot of you are struggling with that right now. Instead, at the university, what we're struggling with is, of course, students being reimbursed for room and board, etc. But I'd like to open the Shop Talk up to everyone to, let's just talk first about management and people. What have people been doing with their staffs and how have they been trying to keep them engaged as much as possible? So I open it up to anyone. Donna, are you raising your hand?
I am now. Hi, everybody. We have, at the University of Kansas, we have 21 full-time staff and probably 15 student hourly folks. And originally, we determined who was essential and had to stay on campus, who was essential and could work from home, and then who was not essential. And that lasted 2 days for the people working on campus, and then pretty much we all got sent home. I've got 11 of those 21 deemed essential and can work from home. And then the other 10, the university is allowing them to use a time code COVID-19 to record their time. They're getting paid, but they have no parking or transit function at home. So our folks are mostly working on social media, which goes crazy at a time like this. People want their money back. And the university just recently made a decision that we are going to allow credits for parking permits, unused portions of parking permits that'll go towards their next purchase. We are going to allow a refund if they're not coming back. So we're just trying to figure out the logistics of that and trying to get announcements out there to sort of forestall the social media outrage. We have not stopped payroll deduction for faculty and staff permits, which is also bubbling up in social media, and people are, they're worried, they need their money. So the university has made no decision on that. We're trying to answer those questions. We've got, a lot of stuff, email, we are still collecting our mail. And so processing payments, it's enrollment time right now, and students are enrolling and paying holds. And so my staff that are working from home seem to be able to keep pretty busy. We're still running buses. We've gone to our summer schedule. We have a contract provider, so they're not our employees, but, and they struggle too with people, since we've reduced service so much, worrying about having to furlough people, which normally happens in the summer. But we've not had any, they're all voluntary furloughs. Some of them have agreed to just go ahead and start their summer now. So far we've had good luck with the bus contractor continuing to work. We actually, because of the last workshop that IPMI did, we've got an all department staff Skype meeting tomorrow morning, because I realize those 10 people that are not working from home are just sort of hanging out there and not getting updates. And so we are gonna, Aaron Quisenberry is on this call as well, and he's my associate director over at Transit, but he has organized a meeting for all of those people. So we're gonna try to do that just regularly to keep people updated.
Thanks, Donna. I see from the chat that the question has been asked. Josh Camper is asking, who has completely stopped their shuttle operation? Anybody?
Thomas, you're up.
Yeah, we've totally gone remote learning for our students at Florida International University. So we were probably one of the first areas that received guidance from our local authorities on shared bike programs and shared scooters, those kind of things that were placed off limits. And so we quickly stopped all activities on campus pertaining to learning and went to remote learning for all of our students. We have 56,000 students. We have 140 employees, 40 permanent staff members, and just over 100 student employees. And the lion's share of activities on campus are just for the students that remained on campus for housing. We tried to get as many students off campus as we could, but we still have between 600 and 700 students on campus that couldn't travel, either international students or didn't have a place to go back to but because of travel restrictions, could not go home. So for those students that are in place, our Chartwell's food service, our handful of essential personnel on campus that come and go from campus that take care of the critical functions. So we still have a small crew of about 7 team members on campus, 7 shifts a day that are doing basic sanitizing, maintenance and cleaning of our parking facilities. But the lion's share are doing remote learnings and remote work from home. We have a call center. Typically, there's still about 600 to 700 cars a day entering our garages on campus. And we're taking 65 to 70 calls a day at our call center. And we've managed that from 7 a.m. To 9 p.m. Mainly taking care of holds that have been put on accounts, et cetera. As far as our student, they pay transportation access fees in the state of Florida, and no decision's been made about credits for those as of yet.
Thank you, Thomas.
Of course.
Quiz, did you want to add a comment to the discussion?
I'll throw something out there real quick. Good morning, everybody. This is Aaron Quisenberry from KU, and I had already left a message on the chat, but with the City of Lawrence and KU collectively, we run 19 bus routes. 10 of those are city routes, 7 of them are KU, and then 2 of them are co-coordinated. Our 7 bus routes for the students are completely funded by the required campus fee through student tuition, and so those 7 routes are shut down completely. The city service is still operating at full capacity. The 2 co-coordinated routes are still operating. So right now, out of 19 bus routes, we have 12 that are running, but it's really primarily the city service that's going now. Donna kind of mentioned earlier that, you know, some of our drivers took kind of like an early summer sabbatical, and just to kind of, and we're fortunate with the logistics right now. With the 7 KU routes, we have about 45 drivers that affects. Some of them obviously older, retired. They're like, hey, this is great. I can start my summer early. That's awesome. Some of them, you know, for whatever reason, maybe they have another job or what have you. Out of those 45 drivers for us, none of them have been forced to take a forced furlough. So it's all been voluntary, or they've got another gig lined up or something like that, or they're, you know, switching some different responsibilities at the bus facility. So I just want to give you a quick update on that. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, we do offer a safe ride service that runs at night from 10:30 at night to 2:30 in the morning that are to get students a safe ride home. Well, most of our students are supposed to be out of student housing by April 7th. So they've been trickling out, you know, 10, 15 a day. There will be a couple hundred that remain on campus, some international students, student athletes. But on a normal Saturday night, we run 10 vehicles. We're only running 2 vehicles right now. Normal Saturday night, we'd be shuttling 250 students around. Last Saturday, we gave 5 rides. So now our dilemma is, why are we even offering safe ride at all? The students shouldn't be out, right? Are we promoting them being out? So right now we're kind of struggling with, do we shut it down completely, or do we still offer that essential 1 or 2 car service that might be needed for whatever reason? So, but anyhow, we have two safe ride cars running at this time, and on just Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but nothing throughout the week. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, so good morning, everybody. On our shuttle side of our operation, we've seen a 72% drop in ridership across our system. However, we actually increased our bus service to assist with the social distancing. We've kept keeping our size buses to a maximum of 12 passengers at this time. We were able to work with our shuttle vendor we were able to bring in additional operators that were having, you know, a reduction in their service. We would bring those folks in from other locations. This has actually helped us offset some of the call outs for our existing workforce. I think our admin team, they're taking things in stride. They're rekindling some of our back burner analytics projects for our commute options programs, which has been very helpful for them to keep them engaged. So that's strictly on our shuttle operation side.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
It looks like there's a few comments in the chat here. Mark from Oregon State University says that the Beaver bus ridership dropped to less than 5 riders a day and maintaining social distancing was difficult. John from Wayne State University in Detroit has suspended shuttle service during the statewide emergency order established by the governor. And then Josh Stone from the Virginia Commonwealth University shut down our satellite routes and allowed those parkers to move to the interior of campus. We do have a limited shuttle running from our closest satellite lot for those who do not currently have parking but have been deemed essential. Josh Cantor from George Mason University states we've cut half the routes, reduced others to 1 bus per route, akin to weekend service levels. Might be cutting a lot, all but 1 route. RWC6J from UVA has suspended all but 1 student routes. 300 students who couldn't leave are still residents, and consolidating all employees' commuter routes from 1 location rather than the 3 locations. Sharon from Lehigh University is providing on-demand service only. We have an average of 1 passenger per day since last Tuesday. Paul from Northwestern University, we will not operate our student nightly shuttles until further if students return. We are moving to a reduced schedule for our routes between our 2 campuses. Our train station commuter shuttles remain in full service since they are in partnership with 3 hospitals. Maria from UT Knoxville has reduced transit to 2 routes plus the accessible and late night accessible safe ride operations. We do have about 200 students on campus due to the inability to leave campus. UT Knoxville also issued refunds for both the parking permits and the transit fee. They also have a vet hospital and they are still operating. USC is only running 1 route of 18 and it's running that goes between our 2 campuses and Union Station Transit Hub. This is primarily to the critical staff moving back and forth. We have supplied free Lyft rides for critical staff to move around the health science campus. Looks like Raymond has a question here. Has anyone implemented protective protocols to safeguard the drivers, such as blocking off the first 4 rows of seats and only allowing boarding and exiting through the back door?
So Justin, I'll take a stab at that one. We did put these protocols in place. So all the 3 Tiger Transit routes that are running now, passengers must board from the rear of the bus. And it's actually, for us, it's the first 2 seats, which create the kind of 6-foot distance from the driver, are cleared. And we have not run to capacity. People are very conscious of getting on the bus and spacing themselves accordingly. Our most popular bus are our shopper buses that we run on the weekends, mostly for graduate students. They have the highest ridership, and this past weekend they did a really good job of regulating themselves on the bus and trying to protect not just the driver, but each other. So we've definitely put those protocols in place at Princeton. And I see that Becker wrote at UVA, we've implemented boarding by back door only. I've also added bus capacity to the 1 commuter route they are running. So, excuse me, we keep passengers per trip at 10 or under. It looks like from the chat, people are, at least if nothing else, loading from one door. Texas A&M is only, Texas A&M is only loading and unloading from the back door and looking for 20 passengers. So I think all of us have tried to put some type of protocol in place to protect both the drivers and the users of the system. Again, yeah, it looks like everyone's doing rear door boarding. So hoping that answers the question. I know we spent a bit of time right now on the transit side, and I will admit that I suggested maybe we have a shop talk on transportation and transportation options during COVID-19 as something that IPMI can do in the next couple of weeks for everyone. But we'd like to ask people what they're really struggling with and what, if any, creative tasks or jobs people have come up with for their parking enforcement officers. So again, we are not enforcing. We've definitely asked people to move closer so they're not riding transit. So that left our officers with some bike cleanup duties. But what they actually did last week was deliver some food to Trenton, to the homeless shelters that we had from our campus dining facilities, which was very, very successful. Again, those operations stopped this week, but that was something that we were able to do to keep them working during this period. Are there other things that people have done with their staff that actually physically cannot work remotely?
Go ahead, Josh.
Oh, cool. I'm unmuted. So happy. I was like, how do I do that? So basically what I did, or what we did, we reduced our level of service from, we would work from about 5 a.m. to midnight, 7 days a week. And now we're only working, with 6 a.m. to 7 p.m., I believe, Monday through Friday. I don't know, so many numbers floating around right now. But so we split our enforcement staff into two. So they're groups of 8 to keep the number under 10 and gatherings as advised by the governor. And they spend 32.5 hours a week on campus doing enforcement on our medical center campus, just kind of being a presence. And then they spend the rest of the time either they take online classes as prescribed by their manager, and then they write summaries of them. What we found and what I expected to happen was most of them just take leave for those remaining hours of the week instead of taking the classes, which is, their prerogative. But for right now, the university hasn't provided any additional leave banks. So I kind of had to say, look, you can either take leave or do these classes, but I don't have 40 hours of work for you. So this is week 2 for us on this plan. It seems to be working out pretty well. They're doing more maintenance checks and things like that, and just kind of being a presence on the campus.
Thank you,
All right, go ahead, Aaron.
Hi, good morning. So we've got one of our full-time parking enforcement officers leads has been exposed, and so he is now self-isolating for 2 weeks. He was relatively new, so hadn't accumulated enough time. And so we've had a project on the books for, probably 2 years. We've been wanting to map out all of our processes so that we can look to see where we can improve efficiencies, making sure that our training is consistent with the process itself. And so we've got him, we probably have a list of about 40 different processes that we've identified. And so we've got him working on that. And like I said, it's been something we've been wanting to do for quite a long time. And so we're prepared. Our university is still open. The governor put in a stay-at-home directive that's supposed to begin tonight at 5 o'clock, but we've not yet been told if we will be considered essential. Depending on the way they slice it. And so if we are, and we have other people that are going to be home that don't have hours, we also know that for our front office operations, there's another list of 40 different processes that we do every day that we just have, we want to take a step back, map it out, look and see where we can do things better. And so we're using this as an opportunity to do that.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Kim here on chat.
Yes.
Chris from North Carolina State has implemented a daily lunch and learn for all transportation staff. Employees are encouraged to log in via Zoom. Employees and campus partner are serving as guest speakers. They're also offering cooking classes, Clearly Act training, GIS refreshers. 35 of our 45 employees are joining the call each day.
That's great. And in the chat, we also had someone ask that as people speak, if they could say where they're from, it would be helpful to the people who are listening who either are not seeing what's happening in chat and or listening and don't see a photo of someone that they recognize to be able to make that connection. So anything else about your staff that are working remotely and or not working remotely?
Go ahead, Kira.
Hello. Hi. Can we hear me?
Yes.
Yes. we can hear
Okay.
you.
Hello. I'm with the University of North Florida, Jacksonville, Florida. Our enforcement staff, they're working on learning Google Maps to convert our lots, learning how to remove a boot from a vehicle without the key. So they're trying to learn how students are doing that so we don't have that happen anymore. And then we've been providing them with professional development training videos that we're finding either on the IPMI site, TED Talks. We have Skillsoft training that we've provided them. The front office team, we've given them a grammar textbook basically for business writing skills. That's something they asked to do. And then just kind of asking them to look at the training manual for our software company to find things that we could improve on or use and things like that. So we're trying to stay busy, that's for sure.
Thank you so much, Kira.
Welcome.
Anyone else have their hand raised? I will say Zoom is great, but we've got 130 some people on this, and so Justin and I think, have flipped back and forth. So forgive us for kind of a bit of a delay. We're just trying to make sure we keep everybody in the conversation. I see in the chat room, Matthew from NEIU based in Chicago says that their enforcement and other staff are working fully remotely, receiving further training in T2 and Genetech systems, along with training in customer service and other online professional development opportunities. So again, I think that this is a phenomenal time for us to be able to allow our staff to participate in various trainings. Definitely anything that IPMI can offer is outstanding for them, as well as things that your human resources department, professional learning departments have that people can tap into and to improve their skills. What are some excuse me, what are some of the other things people have been challenged with since this began? I know for us in New Jersey, this has been like a month-long process. When we had 2 staff people test positive for COVID-19, and then kind of with everybody else got caught up in the cycle. But what have been some of the other challenges people have been dealing with?
Kim, these just popped up in the chat. They referred back to the last question, so we'll read these while other people are thinking about the question you just asked. At Oregon State, we're able to convert our field representatives to a classification that can do labor duties, and they are helping to get through work orders. They are also acting as eyes and ears for public safety. And then the University of Colorado Boulder customer service staffs are provided with a VoIP phone, voice over internet protocol phone from the IT department, and they're able to answer customer calls from their home.
Thanks, Justin. So again, I'm going to flip back to things that we're being challenged with during this time period. And it's a definitely unique period for all of us, I think.
All right, Thomas, you were up.
Yeah, I'd like to, we initially went through a lot of development on the training for our team members for professional development, both for our staff and for our student employees. And I think it would be nice if IPMI had a depository where we could put all of our trainings that we found beneficial and share either through Teams or SharePoint, a location we could drop these and share some of these best practices and trainings and links to those trainings. A lot of them are on LinkedIn, granted, for our piece, but we'd be happy to contribute to that. But we'd love to see what other universities are doing for their drivers, their enforcement officers, and the rest of their teams. And if IPMI could take that on and make that available to us, I think it'd be very beneficial for the 130 we have here, plus the other 130 that couldn't make the call today. So thank you.
Hey, Tom, Justin, okay if I jump in here for a hot second?
Sure, Rachel.
Thanks. So hi, for those that don't know, I'm Rachel Yoka. I'm the Vice President of Program Development with IPMI. And we have been really racking our brains on how we can help our members at this time. So some of the things that you're talking about, we are building right now. Some of the things are already built. We launched a message yesterday about how to stay connected with a ton of free resources. So it's amazing to hear that you're sharing all these things with your teams or working from home or, don't have the same level of hours. So you're retasking them. So those include a number of free online trainings. So we're going to send the link to you. It's super easy. It's just our website /Stay Connected. So these shop talks, of course, all of those free trainings that we've offered, and they're all detailed there. We've launched a resume exchange board for those who have unfortunately either faced temporary or permanent job loss. That's on Forum. And Kim and I have spent, quite a bit of time, Kim Fernandez, who manages Forum for us, on do we create a community resource board? Exactly what you're talking about, Tom. Like, how do we create something like if FIU is doing something fabulous and can share, right? We can share those resources directly on Forum. I'm not exactly sure how we would like to do that, but we'll definitely take that as a, oh, thanks. We have the link right there. We will definitely take that as a step to build, because I do think sharing those training resources or what you're doing allows the conversation to continue. If you're not on Forum, please get on Forum. Please get your people on Forum. There's so much there to offer them. So I don't want to take up any more of your time, but feel free to email me directly or any of the team if you have other ideas. It's exactly what we need to hear from you right now. Okay.
So Rachel, I'll just add that while you were speaking in the chat, Kim Fernandez had first put in that it would be a great place to start. A thread would be in the forum. Kira also put in that IPMI has a YouTube channel that they provided to the team at UNF. So that's another resource. Kathleen has shared a link in the chat to parking.org/stay connected. Which is another thread that people can use to share information. And once again, actually she sent another link so again, hopefully everybody can get into the chat to the Parking Mobility 2019 IPMI Professional Development Video Series, which is another learning tool that people can use. So there's lots of opportunities to get information, share information, offer training to staff that we can use across all these different avenues. Anything else, sorry, that, or I don't know, did anybody have their hand raised about things that were challenging? I kind of lost that, Justin.
No, you're good. Everyone's being very very chat heavy today, which is good. So Paul Reeve just posted, great forum article today was posted, repurposing parking decks for overflow healthcare operations.
Mm-hmm. So I think one of the interesting things that we've all had to deal with in the last few weeks is trying to think outside the box about what we do, how we do it, how we're doing it differently, what opportunities this presents, not just for learning and development for our staff and for ourselves, but how we can use the infrastructure that we have, how we can, repurpose things, again, based on the forum article, which I will admit I did not get to read yet because I've been on Zoom meetings all morning. But, how we can use our decks and other things to help ease the situation in various places is huge. I also think that, it seems a little early to start this process, but I think we'll all be challenged when we resume operations again. So we're all thinking about getting through this and not knowing for sure how long it will last, although at least it looks like it'll now be through the end of April. But then when we do go back to, work, what will that be like? How challenging will that be for all of us? What does it mean for our staff who will say, well, I was able to work remotely during COVID-19. Why can't I continue to work remotely? So I think, again, if we haven't thought about it, could be a topic for another shop talk, because I do think we will be doing business differently when this is over. Not really sure what that means, not even for myself, for anybody else. But it's something I think that we need to start thinking about. Any comments on that? Have people thought about when they go back to work?
Kim, some of these, there's a few questions that came over through the chat. Lisa Copeland wrote, for organizations who have refunded parking fees, what formulas did you incorporate?
Hi, this is Moira from Knoxville, Tennessee. We did 39% because that was the percentage of the semester that was going to be done with online learning. That was determined by the university as a whole. So both the parking permits and the transit fee were encompassed under that. And so obviously, as you can imagine, our budget has taken a big hit on that one. And my director's not on, and he's in charge of all that sort of good stuff. But that is going to be, the students are going to have that information on their accounts next week. What the language we're using is something, that this was the percentage, but it was less any outstanding fees. So if they owed tickets then or other things, then that was going to be all managed. All of our money stuff after 2 weeks goes to the bursar's office. So we don't have to collect any old balances anymore. And so the students are going to get one package from the university of what they have determined. So that's how we came up with the percentage. While I've also got the floor, I put in a link for resources for creating a communications professional on your team. I did a workshop last year at IPMI about, I'm the communications manager, and not a lot of universities have that role. And so I put up a bunch of resources onto this one web page. And the other question I'm going to throw out there is, for the future, I've already heard that our orientation is not going to be in person this summer. They've already made that distinction that there's 3 phases. The first phase will be advising and choosing classes, which will be like a Zoom meeting with the students and their advisors. Second phase will be kind of Zoom meetings of the university identity, what it means to be a volunteer, kind of the diversity stuff, that whole big picture stuff. But then they're going to beef up Welcome Week big time and do a lot more of housing, dining, ball shop, textbooks, all sorts of that sort of stuff. So as other universities are starting to hear that, I would be thrilled to talk to people and maybe even create a small group or a thread through forum. Thank you, Kim. Love our forum. And work with people on as we try to navigate this sort of stuff. Thanks. This is Moira from Tennessee.
Thank you, Moira. John Nolan, you're up.
Hi, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. I tried to post this, but for some reason it's not coming in. One thing that's been really successful for us is that we came up with a program where we gave staff two choices. You could cancel your parking, or effective March 16th, moving to the end of the fiscal year, you could continue to pay for parking, and then we would extend your permit into the next fiscal year with free parking. So, you know, for people who are terminating or people who normally turn in their pass over the summertime, we've certainly seen some cancellations there, and we recommended that they cancel. But for a lot of faculty, staff, and students, they have not been canceling. So out of over 4,000 monthly parkers right now, we've only had about 225. So this has significantly reduced the amount of work that the parking office has had to do. It kind of makes everybody whole. People don't have to do anything. They basically continue to let things run. Now, you know, for people that maybe are furloughed or laid off and they need the money to you know, hold them over, certainly that would be something that they may want to cancel. But it's really worked really well here, and I just wanted to share that. On the transit side, we were able to work with the MBTA so that if nobody uses their April pass, that they would receive a credit going forward to their account. Again, you know, really reducing the amount of returns and work that we would have to do. Currently, we're trying to strategize what we're going to do for May, because you have to order through April 10th, I believe, for a May pass, and how we are going to go about doing that. And in subsequent months, we're not sure, as I believe this is going to continue for at least several more months. And I think there are charts you'll see on the internet and through various media sources that actually will show you state by state right now when the expected peak of the COVID-19 is supposed to come to your particular state. And so that might be something for you to follow as well, relative to how this basically ramps up, because just in listening to some of you, I see you're in different places and different times relative to how you've reacted in downsizing your operations. And so I think it is going to be more of a flow from urban areas to suburban areas as we move forward. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Sorry, I've been monitoring the chat. Kelsey Finn had a question. Kelsey, I'm not sure where you're from, asking how are we planning to resume in 2 weeks, 2 months, or not until the fall semester? And I will take a first stab at that and say, Kelsey, I think it depends on when our executive order ends here in the state of New Jersey. And once that ends, how long it takes us to remobilize. But again, I don't think that we will be going back to any kind of business as usual until May at the earliest. At Princeton, again, not sure if that's May 1st, May 15th, but it really doesn't look like it'll be until May. Not sure if other people have a different time period than that. And I think it's just going to be kind of a go from there. Depending on if there are other executive orders issued in other states, and or if we have actually really all peaked and we start to finally see a decline in this pandemic right now. Not sure if anybody else wants to add to that, but there are some things in the chat room that I just want to make sure I get to cover. One, Aaron from Boise State University in Idaho said they did 25% as an opt-in. 25% was determined because because we had just passed that percentage refund in their schedule on March 8th based on timing. P. Moscato said they did it for students. This is refunding from the date that the university announced the closure and online learning was beginning. PRD was credited for a month, and PIF permits for faculty staff was refunded to match PRD. Not really sure what those initials stand for. Paul Reeves said that Emory University is providing a COVID-19 fund, $5 million that they are hearing or hoping might cover all of the student refunds, and this would help them and not take it out of their budget. Josh from UVC refunded the last 2 months for their normal refund policy. Faculty staff have had payroll deductions turned off, so they are not having any more deductions at this time. Josh Cantor said for permit refunds, their administration has us back out a percentage of their fixed costs, debt service fees, their software costs. The refund will wind up being about 25% of the academic year or half the spring semester costs. They are canceling payroll deductions for the next 4 payroll periods. Coral Reeves shared the $5 million is for many different areas across campus and may suffer being hit from refunds. I know for sure at Princeton, housing got hit really hard with refunds, and so not really sure how we'll handle this right now. Looks like Buckley, sorry, because the print is small on my computer. One of the challenges for most of us is the financial aspect. This is a question. How has this affected parking operations, and has anyone come up with any ideas to meet these challenges? So again, the question is, one of the challenges for us is the financial aspect. Because we're auxiliary, how has this affected parking operations, and has anyone come up with any ideas to meet these challenges? So again, not that I'm the expert in this, but I think that that's part of what's not happened yet, is that people have not figured out how they will recoup financially from this and what this will really mean to their operations. Not sure what universities, colleges will be doing to help offset costs that people are losing, or the refunds that people are giving out right now. I think there's a lot more to come on this topic, and hopefully we'll have some answers via the forum or chats or other shop talks in the future about how we get back on our feet financially moving forward. Does anybody have anything else they can add about the financial side? If not, I'm going to jump back into the chat real fast. The University of Pittsburgh has refunded 35%.
Actually,
for resident students, faculty, and staff permit refund credits are still being reviewed.
hey, Kim.
Sorry.
Armand raised his hand but lowered it. Armand, did you want to add a comment in?
Apologize about that. I was fighting with my mute button. So I'm from the University of Maryland, and we certainly don't have any of those answers either. It seems like all of a sudden every day the level of budget cuts we're looking at grows. But one of the things we've recently pivoted to looking at is what sorts of decisions have we tabled in the past because they were politically unpopular or maybe didn't have campus-wide support that we could revisit now. I will say there was a term, crisis generates opportunity. And this is one of those things when it comes to looking at maybe increasing our hours that are required at payments, increasing the duration you need a permit on campus. Where are those areas where we're giving away free parking that a month ago were maybe third rails that we didn't want to touch? But now when the option is massive budget cuts, potential service reductions, furloughs, anything like that, all of a sudden those ideas that a month ago seemed dangerous are almost looking safe right now. And so all of a sudden we're dusting off all those plans and revisiting those and looking at those as potential areas to mitigate some pretty devastating budget cuts from us.
Thank you. In the chat room, and I kind of, sorry. So someone, Becca has asked, can John Nolan please repeat the ResourceNet project's peak in various geographic locations?
So I just posted that I got it through the Axios newsletter that I get every morning. If you Google COVID-19 peak by state, that should come up and you'll be able to see it. It's a color-coded map. by state, and each one of the colors represents a particular week period where they're expecting a peak outbreak right now. That could, again, change as time goes on, as testing, I think, increases state by state. But at least we'll give you some kind of a bellwether map in terms of how it's supposed to peak as of right now in your particular state.
Thanks, John. Also, Kelsey posted that she is from NACAS, a partner association with IPMI. At the UT Knoxville, faculty and staff may cancel their parking permits and direct deposit, but they risk losing their parking lot assignment, and thus some people would rather keep their parking lots. So again, that's how their refund piece is working. Just trying to get questions and or, at USC, they're working with Hertz Rent-A-Car and Enterprise to see if they need a place to store cars close to their downtown offices. So that's a way to create some additional revenue that you may not have. And I do know they're looking for places to leave cars, because we've had a request from Enterprise to leave 200 cars on our campus. So that's a way that people, again, might look to create some revenue.
Kim, Paul Reeves has a comment that he wants to add. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, so at Emory, we're paying close attention to our healthcare visitor parking, just making sure that we're ready. But our visitor parking across our campus has decreased 86%. I'm very curious to know what other universities that have a healthcare component. Have you anticipated anything, or have taken a look at your data for your parking?
Anyone else with healthcare facilities on their campus? Just out of curiosity, because I'm trying to go to school. Is Robert Milner on the call? Because I do know, in just chatting with him earlier this week, maybe it was last week, now I can't even remember, but he was talking about how that they had to keep one of their garages open for visitors to the hospital, doctors, etc., and keep it staffed. And I know that they were having some discussions about what to do moving forward. Were they going to keep that going with a staff person in place? Were they not? And I thought he was going to join the call, but I guess he got tied up and couldn't join. But does anybody else have a hospital or a medical center as part of their campus operation?
Lisa Copeland posted in the chat, for those campuses who do not have healthcare components to consider, do you continue to run enforcement operations?
So again, Lisa, I'll jump in there and say that we have suspended our enforcement operations. We are allowing those staff who are essential services who need to be on campus to park in any open lot or garages that are gated. The gates are up currently, and people can come and go. One, because there are not people on campus should the gates fail to fix them right away for them. And for us, it seemed that it was not the right thing to do to enforce our parking locations during this time period, because people were working in different locations, different shifts from their normal operations. We weren't running transit services. And so it just seemed that enforcement was not the right thing to do during this pandemic.
Sorry, Kim. CBM had a question or a comment, and he just lowered his hand.
I don't see it. Sorry, Justin.
That's okay. He still has it up. Okay.
Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I was just commenting on, in response to Paul, and then for in general, that we did stop our enforcement at this point, but we didn't alert anybody to that. We have a small medical facility on campus that caters strictly to students, staff, and faculty, unless there's an appointment made. So I guess I'm curious, if you guys did suspend your enforcement, did you alert people to that so they didn't feel obligated to pay for visitor parking when they did go to their medical facility? Question mark.
Thank you. A couple things have come up on the post or on the chat here. Maura said, we have suspended our enforcement except for the handicap and fire lanes. We may adjust tomorrow, April 1st, as the state goes on non-essential staff being on campus. Cornell has suspended enforcement. Let's see. Aaron from Northern Arizona University is still open in operation, so we are enforcing permit requirements but have allowed flexibility in zones. Let's see. There's a comment up here from UVA. UVA has a hospital and our clinic operations are altered. We have maintaining some patient parking, but we have converted patient parking to staff parking during the crisis, and have and then parking and transportation says that they've suspended their enforcement. RWC from UVA is still parking hospital employees in commuter lots and moving about 700 a day by transit. Let's see. We are running close to time, so I know a lot of people have posted comments in the chat, and we will go to just one more to make a comment. Unless someone has a comment on the, wants to make a comment via the video chat.
So, Justin, I just want to thank everybody for participating in this shop talk. It seems like we may always sometimes be a little slow to get started, but an hour never seems to be enough, which is probably a good thing, because there are other topics that we can hopefully have in the future. I hope everyone stays well. Please take care of yourselves. I know we're always taking care of everybody else and sometimes forget about ourselves. So please make sure that you stay safe and well. And Justin, I'll give it back to you for that final comment.
All right. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today and who participated. A special thank you to Kim Jackson for moderating today's discussion. So this will conclude today's Shop Talk. I would like to invite everyone to continue the conversation at IPMI's forum at forum.parking-mobility.org. Some of the links that were shared in the chat, we will take a look at them, and then if there are stuff that we can post to our free website, we will add so. This will conclude the Shop Talk for today. Today's Shop Talk is copyrighted in 2020 by the International Parking and Mobility Institute with all rights reserved. You may now disconnect. Thank you.